Hola chicos, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Paula from Speak Spanish with Paula. This channel is all about learning Spanish and finding your voice to speak up. In today's lesson, we are talking about reflexive verbs and pronouns, when to use them, how to use them, and how to recognize that you have to use a reflexive verb. I'm also giving you a list of the most common reflexive verbs. So, let's start. We've already talked about personal pronouns, possessive adjective, and possessive pronouns. If you haven't watched those videos, I'll put the links in the description below and over here. So, the reflexive pronouns are used with a reflexive verb. But wait, what's a reflexive verb? So, it's a verb that is performed by a subject. Yo, tú, él, ella, nosotros, ustedes, ellos. And the action goes back to the subject. It's kind of a reflection. The subject performs the action to itself. I do the action and I receive the action at the same time. I'm not affecting anyone else by doing the action. The only person affected is myself. All right? For instance, if I say, I get dressed, that means that I put the clothes on me by myself. No one is putting the clothes on me. I'm doing it on me by myself. Is that clear? So, it's a reflection. In Spanish, we would say, yo me visto. Yo me visto. And what we have here, we have a subject, yo, then a little word, me, and then we have a verb conjugated, visto. Yo me visto. This little word, me, in this case, it's called reflexive pronouns, and each subject receives a different reflexive pronoun. So, let's draw the chart. Me, te, se, nos, os, se. Yo me visto, tú te vistes, él se viste, ellos se visten, nosotros nos vestimos. Now you're thinking, but how do I know when to use a reflexive verb? Which verbs are reflexive? Well, you gotta look for it. There's a grammatical ending that you'll see over and over again in many words, and that ending is se. S-E. Whenever you see a word ending in se, it's a sign that it's a reflection. So you gotta use the reflexive pronouns that match with the subject doing the action. Like we already used the word vestirse. The infinitive form of the verb is vestir. But I don't say yo visto. I say yo me visto. So that me is the reflexive pronoun that match with the subject yo. All right? So let's review a list of reflexive verbs, the most common ones, in my opinion, and you'll see something interesting here with the English language. So it's gonna be easy for you to remember a bunch of these reflexive verbs. I'm going to put the list here in the description and in the comments below, but I'm not taking you through all the list because it's going to be long and boring, right? So anyways, how do you say I get sick? To get sick is enfermarse, but I don't say yo enfermarse. Don't say that, never ever. So enfermarse ends with a se, the grammatical ending that we were talking about. And how do you use the reflexive pronoun with the conjugated verb? There are 3 steps. So the first one is to get rid of the ending se. Then you gotta conjugate the verb according to the subject that is performing the action. In this case, enfermar is a regular AR verb. Remember that there are 3 types of verb in Spanish: AR, ER and IR. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to my lesson about regular verbs. And finally, you choose the reflexive pronoun that match with the subject that is performing the action. And that reflexive pronoun is going to be before the verb conjugated. So we'll have the subject, the reflexive pronoun, and then the conjugated verb. So, yo me enfermo. Yo me enfermo. Yo me enfermo todo el tiempo. I get sick all the time. Ellos se enferman. Vosotros os enfermáis. All right? But that's not all. What happens if you take the action, but the action is not going back to you? Let's say you have to get your children dressed. They can't do it by themselves. So you have to take the action, but the action is going to be received by anyone else. All right? So in this case, you follow step 1 and step 2, but we don't use a reflexive pronoun here. Instead, we have to use a little word, a preposition, like this one. Yo visto a mis hijos. I get dressed my children. Yo visto a, that's the little word, the preposition, mis hijos. The possessive pronoun took place here, mis. Do you see how we make all the connections? That's great. So, yo visto a mis hijos. You are doing the action, but you are not receiving the action. Your children are receiving the action. Is that clear? So a little bit ago, I was telling you that there's an equivalent in English that will help you to recognize a bunch of reflexive verbs. So here's the thing. In English, we say, I get married, I get angry, I get tired, I get bored, I get drunk, I get upset, and so on and so forth. All those gets are a sign that you are in front of a reflexive verb. So you have to ask yourself, the subject, the person performing the action, is the same that is receiving the action? If yes, you are in front of a reflexive verb and you have to use a reflexive pronoun. So you follow the 3 steps and you are covered. Alright, so that's pretty simple to follow. In the next video, I'm going to tell you my morning routine using a bunch of these reflexive verbs and personal pronouns and possessive adjective and possessive pronouns. So it's going to be a good idea not only to practice this topic, but also to practice your listening skills. So stay tuned and subscribe. I hope it's clear. Keep practicing over and over again until you get it. Don't forget to subscribe, to hit the notification bell, and you can leave me a comment below anytime if you have any question. Thanks for watching and see you next time in the next video. Ciao!